Uh, this penguin nuggets is not really about a demonstration. This is about understanding task iteration with loops. So, boy, oh boy, that is a difficult and confusing topic. So, I wanted to make sure that you have some conceptual understanding because if you don't, trying to use loops in playbooks is going to be hard. So let's dive into some examples. This is an example of simple loops, and I'll tell you why it's called simple loops. Because if we have simple loops, this means that we have complex loops, right? It's exactly like, if you have the truest bank, and then you're going to have fakest bank, right? Anyway, I'm just kidding. If you take a look at this, they're showing you an example, a play that has two tasks. And we have two tasks here because we're not doing iteration with loops. But when doing iteration with loops, we combine the two tasks into one. And the reason and the way we do this is by using a list of simple items. So simple loops means a list of simple items. Complex loops mean a list of dictionaries. You're gonna see that in a minute. A list of dictionaries. So list of simple items versus list of dictionaries. So here we have a list of simple items, and we have two items, namely postfix and dovecot. And these are actually names of services that we want to start using the Ansible.built-in.service module. Okay, so notice where we are declaring the loop. We are, in this case scenario, we are declaring the loop inside a task, inside a service module. And look here, there is a loop statement. And the loop statement, you have to be careful with the indentation. Notice where the loop statement is placed, indentation wise, same indentation with the name of the module. And you follow this with the items in the list, right, that we are going to loop through or iterate through. And each item in the list is declared with a hyphen, okay? And notice here, the list is essentially a variable, okay? The list is a variable, okay? And how do we reference the list? Using braces. Remember, these are called braces. I know we call them sometimes curly brackets, but right, for computer science students, these are really called braces. And then they are within double quotes, okay? And instead of saying, hey, the name of the service I want to start is postfix, you say the name is item, right? So Ansible knows that you are declaring a variable, and this variable is going to be a list of items. So it goes down, it expects a loop statement, and it iterates through the items that are declared with a hyphen. There's another example. It is identical, but the location of uh, the loop is different. Here, it is declared in the playbook header, in the playbook header. So look here. Here's the playbook header, and then you start listing your tasks. This location is proper, right? So here is declared inside the task. this location is proper, is declared in the playbook header using vars. And then you say, okay, by the way, I'm going to have a list. The name of the list is going to be mail underscore services. And this is a simple list because it's going to have two simple items. And here are the items. Then you can come down in your task and you go back just like with it and you say, hey, the name is item, and instead of listing the specific name of a service, and in your loop statement you reference the name of the list. And remember, the name of the list was declared here under vars, and we called it mail underscore services. Just a reminder, right, that really the preferred way to do this, if you remember from chapter 3, is to use for your play, right? Remember, you need to create a directory for your play. Like if you see my demos, I called it Ansible projects. And that's where you save everything. You save your YAML, you save your Ansible config file, you save your Ansible Navigator config file, you save your inventory file, you save your group vars directories and your host vars directories, where you can create files to save your variables. So and if you do that, and instead of saying vars at the headers, you will say what vars underscore files in the headers. And when you say, hey, you're gonna find my variables in vars underscore files, Ansible knows to go look inside your host's vars directory and your group vars directory to find those variables and those files. So just to remind you that really for your exam, for your test, the recommendation is to use these two directories to save your variable files. Now, this ends the example of a simple loop. Well, complex loops. How is that different? We still have a list of items, but now these items are actually dictionaries. Dictionaries. And remember, when we deal with dictionaries, dictionaries can have multiple keys, and those keys will have values. And we call them what? Key value pairs. Key value pairs. So instead of iterating through simple items, we are iterating through dictionaries, and each dictionary has multiple key value pairs. And notice that the difference in the syntax when we're dealing with a simple list versus complex one. We have dictionaries. This is follows the Python syntax for dictionaries. So you have to say item, right? And then name, you are basically referencing a key in the dictionary. Key in the dictionary, okay? So as you're going to see in the next example, you will see that we have multiple keys and these keys have values. So the way to reference a key in the dictionary is, and you're not using braces, you're using brackets. And uh, these brackets enclose what? Single quotes. Single quotes. Okay, so keep an eye on the syntax. It's really important, and it takes a lot of repetition to remember this. When to use braces, when to use brackets, when to use single quotes, when to use double quotes. Because remember, for the Red Hat certified engineer, you're gonna have to remember all this from memory, right? But you'll have to learn how to use help and the Ansible docs in order to, remember when you end up with a brain fog in the test. Okay, so notice here how this is referenced. Okay, This is referencing that here we're going to be using an item inside a list. But when you see it this way, the item in a list is actually a dictionary and it has multiple keys. A name here, we are referring to one key inside the dictionary, right? And we are calling the value of this key. Notice that the whole thing, right? List and key in the dictionary is wrapped between double quotes and double braces. Okay. And take a look at, so here we're saying, notice at the location. The location is within a task, within a task. Okay. This is not in the play book header, it's inside a task. And it says, okay, when it comes to stating what the name of the service is, we're going to say that we actually have a list. Okay. Notice this time the module that we are using is the user module. So I put it here for you because in the lab PDF files, it will say user colon, but we are actually, if you want the full name of the module, it will be ansible.builtin.user. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that for you. And here is the name. And basically, when you create new users, you have to specify the username. Remember when you use the command user add, and you have to give a name. So user add Mike, you specify the name, right? Now you can also use the user add command with the G option, so minus G, to identify the groups that the user is going to be a member of. So here is done with groups. So instead of specifying or stating one specific name for the user, one or multiple specific names for the groups, we're saying that we are going to state this in a task as variables, okay? And these variables is going to be in a complex list because we're using dictionaries. Now, take a look at this. Okay, here is the loop statement. And this time around, look at what we're saying. Name, colon, Jane, groups, colon, wheel. Okay, what is it that you're seeing here? Key, value, pairs in a dictionary, right? Name, Joe, groups, root, key, value, pairs in a dictionary. Now, remember I told you this is a list of complex items because it's a list of dictionaries, and each one is declared with what? A dash. Take a look and be careful with the indentation. Again, the loop statement indents in the same location where you declare the name of the module that is going to be used. Then the lists, the items, the complex, the list, the items in the complex list, right? One more indentation, and you declare them with the dash. Okay, and that's all you need to know. Practice, practice, practice. You know, I've given you multiple demos and more coming your way. And the next segment is going to be on using conditionals. We will use if statements. Thank you for tuning in.